What's up, guys? We have a little bit of a different video than we've been making for a long time. It's gonna be very rambly, as you can already tell. Doing a good old, I'm gonna restart. Because I don't know how to start this.
That's fine, just keep going.
Alright. Well, I don't know how to start this kind of video, because it's just, you know, a long time ago, we, I completely lost train of thought. Wow. What time is it? It's like 9 o'clock. Alright, so, we have some new speakers. Let's just cut to the chase. We got some new speakers. We're gonna unbox them, gonna talk about them. Last time I did this was for like the ZLXs or the ETXs. We literally never made an impressions or an unboxing video for the SM80s, which is hilarious. And these are what's replacing the SM80s. And the review for the SM80s still isn't out. That's gonna happen at some point. But anyway, these are the Martin CDD-Live 15s. They're replacing the SM80s. And you might think, oh, it's just another unboxing, you know, whatever. And if that's the case, you're probably not even watching the video. If you're watching the video, you're interested because it's interesting. So, this unboxing is a little different because it's not what's called an MI grade speaker, which is probably what most of the YouTube, you know, audio DJ community is familiar with, like ZLXs, JBL, QSC, Yamaha, Mackie. You know, those are all brands that are very consumer based. You can go buy them at Guitar Center, basically. You can't buy these at Guitar Center. They are pro grade fixture, and you know, you'll see
fixture.
Like, wow, look at the lighting guy. These are pro grade speaker, and you know, I know EV and JBL and QEC will market their product as a professional product, and that's not to say that you can't use it for professional applications. And it is honestly a silly way to differentiate two speakers, calling one MI grade and then pro grade, because there's pro stuff in the MI grade, and it's weird. That's just, I don't make the names. This is a pro grade fixture. This is a pro grade speaker versus all of the MI grade stuff that you're probably used to. That's why we're doing an unboxing, because you're gonna see how uninteresting it actually is. Sorry, spoiler alert, it's really lame. So, also, full disclosure, I've already cut this open because it's just what happened. And we already have one out. So I know what's coming, you know, but let's see what happens. So we're gonna unbox it, and we'll get to this in a second. So we have the speaker behind some foam, and that's the down way. So, and actually, that was stupid of me. I should have taken this foam off. Alright, we're going back. Foam's coming off, coming back up. Now, kinda scooch it out. Here we go, come on. Okay, all right, that's the unboxing. A little different from ZLXs. Literally, that's the whole thing. There's nothing, oh wait, there's something here. Thanks for choosing Martin. Thanks for choosing Martin. You're welcome. And we'll take this off. Okay, speaker unboxed. That's it, there's the whole thing. So, what do you get for quite a lot of money? Well, you get a big box, get some foam, get a plastic bag, and you get a cable. No, you don't. You literally don't even get cables.
Stand out of the light.
I know, I can see it now. The YouTube comments. You're paying thousands of dollars for a speaker and they don't even give you a cable? I know, it is weird. But the reason they do that is because professionals, like production companies, real production companies, I would hesitate to even call us a real production company by this measure, but they make their own cables. And there's no point in sending them a 6-foot cable or a 10-foot cable. You know, what length should they send? 3-foot cable? What if, are they ever gonna use a 50-foot cable? Maybe that's too big, maybe they want a 6-foot cable. So it's just easier, just send the connector in an open bag.
You wanna kind of pull out the connector?
Yeah,
a little bit.
So this is called a Nutric Pro 1. I'll just put it mostly together. I won't put in the little insert things. Goes like this. Goes like this. And you would screw that on. And then you have a cable connector and it plugs in. And the reason that they give you this is because they, long story short, they want the production company to make their own length. So if they know that they want a 100-foot cable or a 50-foot cable or a 25-foot cable or a 13-foot cable or a 38-foot cable. They'll just make that. These connectors are expensive. Like, that's the most expensive part of the cable. It's like a lot of money. And bulk cable's cheap. So they'll just give you the connector, you make your own cable. I wish they gave you a 6-foot cable in the box, because putting on a cable at the end of this isn't hard. But then if you wanted to use this connector, you have to cut it off. Anyway, yeah, it's weird. I don't know what to tell you about it. So let's talk about speaker a little bit. There's a few things that I'm gonna say that it's gonna sound like everyday stuff. And that's because you're used to hearing these terms used with MI grade speakers. But remember, there's a pro grade fixture, and I'm gonna explain. Boy, that's not gonna change this whole video. This is a pro grade speaker. That's gonna change what all of this means a little bit. So, it is. Here's the first thing that you're gonna be like, oh, it is a 15-inch speaker. Oh, it's a 15-inch speaker. But, you know, it's pretty low, and you don't need to necessarily use subs with it. Nope, completely wrong. You 100% need to use subs with this, because most MI grade speakers have 12-inch version, 15-inch version, 8-inch version, 10-inch version, whatever. But the kicker is the high frequency, because there's mid-range, low-range driver, high-frequency driver. High-frequency driver across all of the speaker models is the same. Think about that for a second. The 8-inch model, 15-inch model, same high-frequency driver. So, ultimately, to an extent, no matter what the low-frequency driver is, your speaker's not going to get any louder, it's just going to get lower. Now, that's not necessarily true across the board, but it's true for a lot of series, like the JBL SRX and EV ETX. They all have the same high frequency. Even the ETX 3-way 35p has the same high frequency as the 12p. Now, the 35p is a little louder because of different reasons, but it's not louder just because it has a 15-inch driver. This is a big reason why, for the longest time, we always recommended just getting a 12-inch speaker and a sub, because unless you're doing tiny events, a 15-inch speaker isn't really get you enough bass to do more things. And it's not any louder than a 12-inch speaker. So, 12-inch speaker was ready to go. This is a 15. So, what is it? Are we hypocrites? Why are we getting a 15-inch speaker? Do we just really like Martin? Like, I don't understand.
It's probably been a long time since you've seen me on camera. But I just cut out a bunch of what Doug just said, because pretty much the only reason we got the 15 as opposed to the 12 is because of the high frequency driver in the 15. When we were demoing them side by side, the 15 was 10 dB louder than the 12. So the 12-inch has a high frequency driver. The 15-inch has a much bigger high frequency driver and made of a different material. The 12 has a polyamide something or other. The 15 has a titanium, which is what allows it to get so much louder. I could care less what the internal components are. I could care less whether or not it's a 15 or a 12. All I care about is the fact that this does 125 dB continuous on music measured, and the 12 did like 117, 118 dB continuous on music. So that's not 10 dB difference, that's like 7 dB difference. Either way, that was the biggest reason for us getting the 15. If the 12 had been like 1 dB quieter, who's to say we probably would have gotten that instead, because it's also 30 pounds lighter than this guy is. And now I'm gonna go back.
Now we're back, like we're just switching camera sides. I should probably mention that we're not just this is not the first time I've seen the speaker. We demoed these, as Alex just mentioned, against the ETXs, the SM80s, the 12-inch version of these, and a different Martin product, the Blackline X12. We actually demoed that, we set them up, listened to them all, and that's where we're kind of getting all of our information from. Because we heard these at a trade show, really liked them at the trade show, so we got them sent to us. We really put them through their paces, and we were very impressed. Anyway, what else should we talk about? Well,
you wanted to do back panel stuff.
Yeah, we talk about the back panel. So here's the back panel. Now this, it looks, if you just glance at it, wow, that looks beefy and crazy and pro. Yeah, pro grade. That's a true one connector. A lot of people might not be used to seeing that. Regular XLR in, and some Ethernet ports. Might also be something else people are not used to seeing. But you might notice there's no screen. There's no DSP in a pro grade powered fixture. Well, there is DSP fixture. Here we go. There is DSP. It's just not that accessible in the back. These Ethernet ports do a whole bunch of stuff, including you can hook up to the speaker to set in settings. I know the JBL SRX has this kind of functionality, but not to this extent. This is really, it unlocks a lot of stuff.
No, it's pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty, you can do a lot with the SRX, but either way.
So the point is, if you want to set up a custom DSP setting, you have to go in here, set up your filters and everything you want to change, and you can save it to a preset on this for preset selector button. And that's just kind of how that works. They already sound really good, but there's not much to change. Literally, we're going to change very little.
And so, actually, we'll switch back to me now.
So on the topic one, like filter presets and stuff, another advantage to this over the SM80 is it requires basically no tuning, whereas the SM80 required a good amount of tuning. I'm now going to put up on the screen the tuning that I did for this at the demo and the tuning that I did for this SM80 at the demo, and you can see the stark difference between the two. The tuning that I did on this was just like to taste. I wasn't fixing any issues. With the SM80, I was correcting for big issues.
You should also talk about just why we replace these over the SM80s.
So that's a great point. Why did you get, they're the same output, but okay, they sound better, they require less tuning, but essentially the end result was the same. It's not. The SM80's biggest downfall was the coverage pattern. With any traditional coaxial driver, as far as I know, you get narrowing in the high frequencies. So as you go up in frequency into the treble, the coverage pattern gets narrower. They're rated to be 80 degrees conical, which means like it's literally an 80-degree cone shooting out, as opposed to like a 12p, which is like a what you call it kind of deal, like a rectangular kind of thing. This, or the SMA, it's rated for 80 degrees conical, but it's not throughout the entire range. And we didn't know this when we bought it. Once it gets up to like 8 or 10 kilohertz, which in my opinion is critical to sounding like you're in the coverage pattern, it narrows to about 40 degrees. And you can hear this in a lot of our videos where, like for instance, like Boiling Spring Minithon, both years is a good example. You can hear how like stuff like the cymbals and whatnot in songs sound very tight and very controlled and very like present and in your face. And the mid-range sounds really washy and really reverberant and like really far away. And that's because the mid-range is 80 degrees and bouncing all over the place, and the treble is really narrow and not hitting any of the walls. The downside, that is an upside in that specific use case, but most of the time it's a huge downside because like 40% of your crowd isn't being covered depending on what you're using it for. When we used it at like Cedar Cliff Minithon in their big gym, I would have to like point them in so that if I pointed them straight out, you would not, even though technically you would be in coverage in the center of the floor, it wouldn't sound like you were in coverage. So I'd have to point them in, and like, I don't know, if you imagine like this is the crowd and the stage is here, like the coverage pattern would be something like this as opposed to like out and around. So you would lose like a lot of your audience coverage. This has a special kind of waveguide in here, and it's also coaxial. I don't know if we already mentioned that. But it has a special kind of waveguide that fixes this problem, this exact problem. And we listened specifically for this at the demo, and I was ecstatic about it because no matter where you stood in the room, it sounded exactly the same. And as you're walking the room, you didn't notice a change in tonality whatsoever. It always sounded like you were in the coverage pattern. When the SM80, it sounded exactly like what we were used to. It was almost normal for me to listen to the SM80 and hear the issues, and like it didn't stand out to me anymore because we've used them so much. And then when we played this, it was so good. Well, it was what it was supposed to be. I was like blown away, and I was like laughing, and I was like freaking out because it was so good. Even though it's not so good, it's just what it should be. Yeah, like this is super random.
I know, we're going, it's just...
So that wraps up the biggest reason why we got these. Because we needed proper coverage. This is basically what I always wanted the SM80 to be. If the SM80 didn't have that coverage issue, even with the tuning, the amount of tuning I had to do with it, we would have kept them. Because they're 15 pounds lighter than these.
We prefer it passive, honestly.
I mean, meh.
Well, it's nice to only have to run one cable up to the speakers.
I still have to run 2. But yeah, no, okay, I see what you're saying. But like, even still, meh. But the biggest reason we'd rather have them is for the 15-pound difference. That we're usually loading up our cranks so much that even a 30-pound difference between the 2 speakers combined can be a big factor. Yeah, this is what I always wanted the SM80 to be. I'm happy to have it. That was really stupid.
So that kind of summarizes the... I don't even know what we're summarizing. I don't even know what we're talking about. We kind of talked about generally what the speaker is, how it's pro fixture, not anti-migrate fixture, why we switched away from the SM80s.
Wait, you want to go think about that?
Yeah, I know. It's a fixture. You know what? Everything's a fixture. And we touched a little bit on the functionality basis, or the functionality, the usability of this versus the SM80, and how the SM80 is lighter, and that is very nice. But this actually, overall, even considering the extra weight, is way better from a usability standpoint because it's a normal form factor. It looks like a speaker. Most people think the SM80s look kind of weird. These have fly points all over them and have regular handles, even though they're heavy. I would like a different, like an ETX style handle, because an ETX style handle, you can grab it like this. See, like this kind of handle? I can grab that this way, I can grab it this way, and get my whole fist in there. This, I can't get my fist in there. You know? I can only get my fingers in there. Not ideal, especially considering the weight. It's kind of hard to lift this with 2 people if you had to lift it very high.
You mean one person? Especially?
Well, yeah, especially one person.
Yeah.
I meant lifting with 2 people.
Oh.
Because lifting it is weird, whereas lifting it like this is not weird. Anyway, that being said, we're usually going to fly these, not really going to use them on speaker stands or on top of totems with a speaker stand input. We're going to fly them with these! There's a little more pro level unboxing, and it's just the product. So this is the flying bracket for the SM80. Nope, for the CDD. This is way freaking better than just a regular U kind of, what do they call those things?
U bracket?
Yeah, but they have a yoke. They call those yokes. This is so much better. You just take out these top 2 and 8 points.
3.
You know, you just take 2 of them out. Oh. And you just put this there, and
you know more about this than I do.
And you screw it on. And then these guys, you can pull these out, set your down angle. And there's in the manual listings for what all of these do. We're usually gonna have it straight out for 90% of what we're doing. But it's awesome. That's it. You just screw it on there. Using a yoke, it's huge. You gotta find a way to find a place to keep it. You gotta use, you know, like a ratchet type deal thing, put it onto the side, then it bends in. You can't set your angle specifically. This, done. I can stay on it in the case we're gonna have made for them. And then we'll just take it to the event, put it on the truss, and it's good.
Well, one thing you've omitted, you'd put a clamp on there.
Well, yeah, here's a clamp. And then it goes like that, and you put that on the truss. And then, ta-da. So, even considering the weight, and having to run more cables up the truss, this is so much easier than the SM80s. Because this bracket, in my opinion, is just, it's honestly the best design on the market for all.
As far as you know.
I mean, I've looked at like other brackets. They're kind of similar to how some line arrays have some like truss mounting brackets. But you know, just this flexibility of the display angles. You can flip it over.
Display angles.
Down
I'm gonna let that go.
You can flip it over, and you can get a speaker mount adapter, so you can put it on a tripod, speaker mount, speaker stand, and you can still set a custom display angle, like if you want to have your speaker pointed way up to cover a balcony or something, or way down to cover on a balcony. It keeps the center of gravity of the speaker right wherever that, you know, right wherever that mount is. It's just really nice. You can use it to fly sideways. The driver in here is rotatable if you want to do that, because you have an application where that looks better. You can turn these. These also have a monitor wedge. You know, they're just more of a working tool than SM80s. SM80s are very much a niche product for just one application. They always required subs no matter what. They required tuning. The acoustics in terms of coverage was challenging. Not to mention they're more expensive even before you buy an amp for them. So they're way more expensive. You know, because it's cheaper. Not by that much, but it is cheaper. Has an amp built in, has DSP built in, got Dante, still got a coaxial driver, fixed the coaxial issue, super loud, great coverage, great usability with the brackets. You know, there's just so many reasons why we switched from the SM80s to these. It's just staggering. I know people are going to ask us, you know, what do you think about these compared to your ETXs? Well, are these replacing your ETXs? No, they're not replacing the ETXs. While we would love to use these everywhere, they're heavy. They're more expensive than ETXs, so we have to charge
by a good amount.
Yeah, we have to charge the client proportionally. So there's lots of times for just regular kind of DJ event, mobile DJ event with the ETX system is still great value. Not that we're ecstatic about the performance. You know, some people think you can use 2 of these in a high school gym and it's just bumping. That's not the case. They definitely have their limits, but for what they are and how expensive they are, they're great. We've literally tried to find something better. We actively put effort into trying to find something better than these for the price. The CDD-12 is fairly close in price to the ETX-12, and it's the exact same. It's the exact same performance, except for the coverage. But the coverage of the ETX is fine. So
the coverage of the ETX is stellar.
Yeah, I mean, ETXs are great. CDDs do not compare. They don't compare to SRXs, they don't compare to Gamhas, they don't compare to QSCs, they don't compare to Mackies, they don't compare to
anything in the MI
every single
grade.
brand. If you're going to comment, how does this compare to my speakers? It probably doesn't compare at all. These compare to small line arrays. These compare to KLA, JBL VRX, that kind of thing. They're just great. These are great. ETXs are still great. SM80s, to be fair, are still great. It sounds like we're really ragging on the SM80s. They still sound phenomenal. They're very efficient, they're very light, but they are more expensive. They're harder to use. They require tuning. They require subs. There's a lot of trade-offs to use the SM80s. We think these are vastly superior. We'll still have a review on the SM80s at some point for all of our longtime viewers who've been wanting that for 2 years.
Has it really been that long?
Something like that.
That's good.
But you're going to see these guys at a bunch of gigs coming up. They're great. We like them a lot. And figured we'd let you know what's up. Might as well mention we're also a Martin dealer. Full disclosure, we're being very positive about these. But we're not being positive because we're a dealer. We became a dealer because we like these so much. You know, we went to a Martin demo and we liked their products so much that when they offered us a dealership, we were, you know, ecstatic. We thought it'd be a super cool opportunity to be able to give these products, these speakers, to you guys if you're interested in them. If you're not interested, no pressure. We also are an EV dealer, a deal for everybody. We like everybody. But seriously, I know we're a dealer. You're gonna say, oh, you're just trying to sell us these speakers. Here's the deal. Yeah, we're a dealer, but we could buy other brands if we thought there was something superior. We didn't have to sell our SM80s. We are using these. That's our proof that we like them a lot. I think it's a good place to stop the video. If you have any questions about them, which you probably do because it's a horribly structured video, feel free to ask in the comments. And yeah, keep an eye out for these at upcoming events.